All right, Chiefs Kingdom, we have reached the official end of the 2025 season, and week 18 was, well, not fun to watch if you happen to be some of the people who watched. I was, unfortunately. Kansas City traveled to Las Vegas in what should have been a meaningless finale, but you still want some competitive football even in a meaningless finale. And what we got instead was a 14-12 loss to the Raiders that featured zero touchdowns, backups at quarterback that struggled, and a defense that actually tried and largely succeeded, but just couldn't get enough points. Now, neither Chris Oladigan nor Shane Bichelle lit it up. Zero touchdowns, y'all. Defense carried the day from both sides, and as the regular season is now closed out, we are left to look at offseason questions, coaching turnover, please, and the future of legends like Travis Kelce. So let's break it all down. Now, the final score Raiders 14, Chiefs 12. You heard me right. Raiders 14, Chiefs 12. Las Vegas sealed it with a 60-yard field goal by Daniel Carlson. I think it was his longest one as time expired, barely beating the crossbar to win it, but doing just enough to make sure that they won it. Kansas City led very briefly in the second half when Harrison Butker hit multiple field goals, but the Chiefs were never able to punch it in for any touchdowns. Now, we'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and of course, the let's not even talk about it. Now, the good in this game, in this finale, was that the defense did their job. This game was defense driven. The Chiefs' defense kept them in it all day long, bending but not really breaking until late. 8 sacks and multiple pressures from the Raiders defense, too, shows both sides were more successful shutting down offense than lighting up scoreboards, as the score indicated. Now, special teams and field position as well, both teams relied heavily on special teams and defense. Butker hit his field goals, including a 41-yarder late in the game, and you can't discount the effort there today, this week, not necessarily previous weeks. And then that's literally all the offense could muster, and it still almost won the game. Almost. I literally yelled to my boys that we were going to win, and then I jinxed us. So my bad, y'all. Now, the competitive fight was there as well. So even though it was ugly, it still felt a little competitive in that the Chiefs were in position to win late. That matters in terms of effort, culture, and character for the younger players on this roster who were on the field. Now, the bad. Zero touchdowns. Let that sink in. No touchdowns. No offensive touchdowns from either team. You don't see that very often, and it's obviously not what Chiefs fans are used to. And for a team that for a decade has had explosive scoring attacks under Mahomes, Kelce, and others, this was definitely ugly. Now, the quarterback struggles as well made this list. Chris Oladigan and Shane Buechele both had horrible days. Missed reads, no rhythm, inability to sustain drives. This season, we've had 2 backup quarterbacks operate for long stretches, and this game was in that vein. It was inconsistent, inefficient, and just not enough to get the job done. So we definitely got to do some offseason work in the quarterback room. Now, there were mistakes in key situations as well that made this list, and there were stalled drives, third down failures, a lack of offensive identity, and no real plan to unlock anything explosive. And that's not emotion, y'all. That's execution. So, we get to the ugly. Safety play and lack of scoring. One of the lowlights was a safety for the Raiders. That's literally scoring without even executing an offensive touchdown. That's the kind of thing you see when offenses can't sustain momentum. And then, of course, the walk-off field goal at the end there. Obviously, the Raiders' win came off of that 60-yard walk-off field goal, which is wild for the finale of 2 struggling offenses. It's fun in isolation, but when you're a Chiefs fan watching this season, it really feels a certain type of way. Now, this game finished a disappointing 6-11 season for the Chiefs. This is the first time in Mahomes' career that Kansas City did not reach the playoffs. That's a massive shift from years of 10-plus wins and deep runs. The offense was decimated by injuries, quarterback turnover, and lack of consistency, and it showed right through week 18. Now, we got to talk about it, okay? I know some of y'all are tired of hearing it, but we have to talk about Travis Kelce this week. His future, that is. It's not officially announced that he's retiring, but his performance and demeanor raised questions. Official team notes after the game pointed out that he made NFL history, becoming the fastest tight end to 13,000 receiving yards and logging his 10th consecutive season with at least 75 catches, matching Tim Brown's longest streak in NFL history. Now, experts are all over the map on this. Some say he has one more year left to chase Lombardi glory. Others think this could truly be his last season, given his age, wear and tear, and the emotional weight of this year's collapse, and of course, his upcoming nuptials with Miss Swift. So, time will tell, but Chiefs Kingdom is definitely asking, and we are really curious. Now, y'all, today is also an interesting day. It is known as Black Monday, and it is coaching turnover day if you don't know what that means. And while we're talking season redux, the Black Monday in the NFL world means that coaches and GMs, they're getting fired as teams pivot towards the next season here. Here are some of the key moves so far. Pete Carroll was fired by the Raiders after a 3-14 season. After just extending his contract too at the beginning or at the end of last year, he extended his contract 3 years. So I think this is just the first of those 3 years and no more. So Pete Carroll was fired by the Raiders. They had a 3-14 seasons. Kevin Stefanski was fired by the Browns after 6 seasons with them. Raheem Morris and the Falcons GM Terry Fontenot both lost their jobs. And then Jonathan Gannon was fired by the Arizona Cardinals. There's also a coaching rumor tracker with teams interviewing coordinators and GMs. And Chiefs coaches like Matt Nagy and Steve Spagnuolo have been linked to interviews for other jobs. Some fans are okay with Matt Nagy moving on, but losing Spagnuolo would be a huge defensive loss, even though it would probably bring greater opportunities for him, and he deserves it. You just hate to lose him because he's such a great coach and a great defensive mind. So this carousel will shape the offseason, and the Chiefs are going to be a part of this dialogue. So it's going to be really interesting to pay attention to who's talking and where some of our current coaches land. Now, some takeaways and where things stand. What did the Chiefs do now, y'all? All right, we need an offensive overhaul. The quarterback situation. We need answers at quarterback. More pass catching weapons and play design help. There also needs to be a coaching evaluation. Nagy's offense didn't show creativity this year, and the league knows it. Spagnuolo's defense was consistently strong, so keeping that identity intact while upgrading the offense seems to be a really high priority for us. Now, roster building. Young players who showed flashes like Brashard Smith earlier in the season, they should get longer looks. Veterans might be on the move, but I think some of our younger players who had the opportunity towards the end of this season, some of them definitely earned that longer look. Now, retirement decisions. This largely looms around Travis Kelce, and we've had this conversation already. But his yardage and streaks are incredible. But this year's struggles definitely bring about those honest questions. And no matter how you slice it, 2026 is definitely going to be about an identity, be about reset and reconstruction for this Chiefs team. Now, definitely was a season of adversity, y'all. It wasn't the results that we wanted, but a character test mostly. So I want to hear from you what your takes are. Who should be back in 2026? Is Spagnuolo worth paying to keep? And does Travis Kelce play again? I want to hear your thoughts, what you think. Drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and we're going to talk through the offensive off season together because we've got playoffs happening. Even though we're not a part of it, we can still talk playoffs. We can talk about off-season moves, what's happening, and of course, all the fun things that happen in the off season as we get ready for the draft ahead of us. So I know this is the earliest that we've done off season talk. It pains me as well, but you know what? We're here and we're going to get through it together. So as always, go Chiefs.